Hello everyone, this is Bob and Threadbare, and welcome back to LA Noire. Looks like we've got a right-handed attacker this time.
Galloway. Got it, Skipper. Yeah, I'll bring him. He's my partner, after all.
What have we got?
New case. White female dumped in plain sight in the grass at the end of Hill Street. Hacks are all over it. Captain's trying to fend them off.
That sounds awfully similar.
The first rule of police work is make no assumptions until you've seen the evidence. Skipper wants you to have your newspaper face on, college boy. I think I know the place where they found the lady. It overlooks Sunset Boulevard. Let's go.
You know, I said I'd never change outfits in the middle of a desk again, but I ran into some technical difficulties, so... Yep, there we go. Back to the Broderick. Also, fair warning again, the victim is naked. After last time, I think that's all I really need to say.
You can drive.
You did a decent job on the Henry case, Phelps. Not bad for your first time at bat.
Thanks, Rusty.
Don't go getting ahead of yourself. That's one clearance under your belt. Now it's a new day with a new dead lady that needs our attention.
No assumptions until we see the evidence, right?
Right. See, I knew you were a fast learner, Phelps. You might get along after all.
Perish the thought.
Now, boys, you know as much as I do. I'll be holding a press conference once the autopsy's been completed. I have two of my finest investigators on the case. Fresh from bringing down the sword of justice on the crazed sex...
Captain, aren't there similarities between this murder and the murder of Celine Henry? And of Elizabeth Short, for that matter?
So you don't believe there's a crazed sex killer at large preying on women?
Boys, be sensible. We have the greatest police force in all the world with the greatest scientific investigators at our disposal. How can any killer continue to beat that? Be advised. We keep the gas chamber at San Quentin primed for the sons of Cain who continue to believe they can take a life in the city of angels.
Yeah, right. Any new leads in the Dahlia case?
Run along, boys, and let these officers get to work. We have God's work to do here, and it can't be delayed.
What do we have, Captain?
Another woman sacrificed. Speak to Carruthers. I want daily reports, gentlemen.
You all seem to be standing around. Shouldn't you be working?
They are working.
Detective, I was first on scene.
You find her, Gonzalez?
Not me. The family out for a stroll. I was first reporting.
Can you show me the body?
It's under the pepper tree, this way.
They're keeping you away from the crime scene.
Go ahead. What's going on over there?
Clear this area immediately.
Can't be much help to you, Phelps.
Here she is.
Hey, buddy! Trying to work here. Got me?
Similar MO.
To what? The Dahlia? I don't think so.
Celine Henry.
That's a closed case. This is probably another sad sack who lost his temper with a broad who wouldn't put out.
Are you a suspect, Rusty?
Watch your mouth, Phelps. All I'm saying is we got enough to do without reopening closed cases.
Talk me through it, Mal.
Severely battered, on display. Footprints would indicate that she has been stomped. Size of the footprints would seem to indicate a smallish men's shoe. What size shoe did Mendez wear?
You finished?
No, I'm not. At a glance, I would say strangulation was the cause of death. I'll need to do further tests for semen.
Angry boyfriend. If they were married, they'd be at home. Not humping out here in Lover's Lane.
You mind if I examine the body?
Be my guest.
No writing this time. However...
What's this mark? A cut on the finger.
Fourth finger, left hand. A wedding or engagement ring. Violently removed.
Same sort of situation that happened last time.
The stomping angle in the Henry case, was it reported in the press?
Sure was. Every detail a copycat would want was there in the story.
Ligature mark is very
distinctive. I'll do some comparisons back at the lab and get back to you. Find anything interesting?
Looks like she was tied up.
It does at first, but that would leave a mark on her other wrist, too. I think her watch might have been torn off.
Now, if this was a copycat, why would they leave out the writing? It was a particularly distinctive aspect. But on the other hand, if this was the original murderer, the same murderer, then why would he not write on the corpse again? And keep in mind, this is before the press intentionally left out certain details in order to catch copycats and attention seekers.
Well, we have a name. Can you run Deirdre Moller by RNI?
Back in a second.
And once again, we've got a clue deliberately left behind.
If the motive was robbery, why not take the money?
Whereas all the other personal effects were taken.
Detectives, RNI says that Deirdre Moller of 130 North Bonnie Bray was reported missing this morning by her husband, Hugo Moller.
What'd I tell you? Let's grab the husband, take him downtown, and work him over. We could have this wrapped up by lunchtime.
What about not making assumptions and going on the evidence?
I was closest, sir. I got the call. Not much more I can tell you.
Plus, if it was the husband, why would you declare her missing? Now, it's in his best interest that she not be found, or at least not linked to him as soon as possible. But that's what can happen when
I thought this was such a nice area.
when you declare someone a missing person. Also, hey Rusty, we're taking this car.
Can you drive to this one?
Awful. Awful. Why can't we get any closer?
There still might be some play in the boyfriend angle.
I thought we were on our way to lock up the husband.
If it doesn't work out, that is.
Deirdre Moller has suffered enough. More than enough. You shouldn't make disparaging comments about her without even the slightest inkling of what she was like.
She was a woman, wasn't she? Well, around about my third divorce, I realized women might not be the pure angels we imagine. You're married, ain't you, Phelps?
Don't make any insinuations about my wife.
Hey, she's a woman.
She's the mother of my children.
You're a father, Cole? But don't tell me your eye don't bend.
This conversation is over.
Alright, time to do my creepy looking in through the window thing. Oh, there's a kid in there.
Phelps and Galloway, LAPD. Is your father home?
He'll be home soon. He's been out looking for Mommy.
What's your name, miss?
Michelle Eloise Moller?
Can we come in?
I suppose so.
Thank you. Could you have a seat for me, Michelle? We're gonna have a look around.
He'll be back anymore. Just sit tight.
She seems a little old to be calling her parents mommy and daddy. Pretty sure I was just calling them mom and dad by the time I was that old.
My partner will explain everything.
Seems
when he gets
irrelevant.
back, okay? There's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, that's a note for something that doesn't relate to the case. Guess she plays the violin. And she doesn't keep it in her case. For shame. But yeah, this is obviously the kids' room. So let's see what else we got around here. Oh. Work boots. Size.
Work boots. Size 8.
Indeed. Doesn't mean he's our prime suspect, but that does make him a suspect.
Elgin wristwatch. Probably the same one snatched from her body. No sign of a wedding ring.
Well, it probably wouldn't be on the table anyway. Certainly wasn't on her finger.
I'm stumped. Ideas?
All right, talk to the girl, but easy does it.
Is this about Mommy? Daddy is trying to find her. Please tell me she's okay.
I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Michelle, but your mother is dead. Do you think you could answer a few questions for us?
Could try.
Remarkable, mood swing there.
Some of your mother's jewelry was missing. Can you describe her things?
A ring, a watch. I never paid much attention to that stuff.
I'm sorry, I can't resist.
Why don't you tell the truth, Michelle? Something really bugs you about your mother's jewelry.
You really are horrible, you know that? What makes you think that?
You're off the hook. For now. I know it's painful, Michelle, but this may be important. She wore a wedding ring?
Mommy chose it herself. A rose gold wedding band and a matching diamond and ruby engagement ring.
She wore a watch?
Yes, a yellow gold Elgin watch. Daddy bought it for her birthday. We had a fight. It was kind of a makeup present.
When did you last see your mother?
Yesterday afternoon. I went to a dance at Belmont High. Mommy was supposed to pick me up, but she didn't show.
So what did you do then?
I was upset. Daddy came instead.
You're feeling guilty about this, Michelle. What were you up to that you missed your mother?
You're crazy. I was waiting out front exactly where she asked me to be. Ask my teacher if it isn't so.
Looks like I made a mistake. So you were hanging around the school for quite a while. What happened with your father?
I don't know. I called and finally he answered. He came straight away then.
Your mom and dad are happily married?
What are you saying? Of course they are.
I think your father was violent with your mother. I think they weren't very happy, and you should tell me, young lady.
You may be the police, but you have no right to talk about my mom and dad like that.
Sorry. Sometimes you have to shake the tree to see what falls out. They weren't happy, were they, Michelle? Did your father ever hit your mother?
Just the once. She said she would leave him if he ever did it again. He bought her a brooch pin to make up for it. And he always wore her golden butterfly.
Thanks, Miss Moller. You've been very brave.
Hey! What gives?
Daddy, the police
Go to your
are
room,
here.
please, Michelle. I'll talk to the police.
Daddy, Mommy is gone.
Go to your room, young lady. She's not even out of school. You can't come in here interrogating her like she's
Your
some
wife
kind
was
of...
found murdered this morning.
Found? What? But she only...
We have some questions that we would like to ask you.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I'll do my best.
Oh, hi there. Telepathic guy from Heroes. Go figure I remember him and not all the people from Mad Men.
Please, if that's all, please just leave.
Tells you the kind of TV I watch.
What size shoe do you wear, Mr. Moller?
Why do you ask?
It's routine, sir. Simple process of elimination.
9s, I think.
Why are you lying to me, Mr. Moller?
Why would I lie to you at a time like this?
Indeed, why would you?
That's funny. The work boots we found here are size 8s. Why lie about it if you've got nothing to hide?
Because I always get teased about the size of my feet. You know, small feet, small...
Always been true in my experience.
Not helping, Rusty.
You phoned in a missing persons report this morning?
Yeah, that's right. My wife didn't come home last night. She left around 9:30. Michelle was out at dance. She called me to let me know that Deidre didn't turn up.
Did your wife ever go out by herself? To bars, nightclubs?
No. What are you suggesting? You suggesting my wife's loose? Now is not the time for you to be pushing me, mister.
Your daughter said you were having an argument.
We argued about who would pick up Michelle. I worked a full day. I wanted to come home, put my feet up.
So you were here all night. You stayed in while your wife went out to pick up your daughter?
Yes, that's correct.
You should come clean if you're having an affair, or if there's something going on.
I told you I was here. Were you saying I wasn't?
Well, your daughter was saying that you certainly weren't answering the phone.
So why did you take so long to answer the phone when your daughter called?
Okay, I went out for a while. I was driving around. It's my way of relaxing.
Your wife was beaten and then strangled. In your case, you have no alibi and a history of violence towards your wife.
That's not true, god damn it.
It is true, Hugo. You're a violent man. You try to keep a lid on it at home, but sometimes you lost control. Your daughter and your wife were scared of you.
You don't know anything about me.
I know about the golden butterfly, Hugo, and how you bought your wife off the last time you heard her.
She liked to spend money, all right? Dresses, jewelry, her hair. It drove me goddamn crazy. Do I look like a Rockefeller?
Nobody likes a cheapskate, Hugo.
Getting hostile with us is a very bad idea, Hugo.
I'm no murderer.
Make some arrangements for your daughter, and then present yourself to Central Station for questioning.
You gotta be kidding me, Phelps. Put the cuffs on him.
This is an outrage. I didn't kill my wife.
Your daughter is in the next room, Muller, so I'm giving you a break. Don't make me change my mind, and don't make me come looking for you.
He was more suspicious than the last husband.
You should go back in there and bust his ass.
1, we need to break his alibi, check phone records, canvass the neighbors. 2, we have motive of domestic violence, which probably goes for half the men in LA. 3, we have no evidence tying him to the crime scene.
Hello.
Detective!
How would she know that he's a detective? He's not in a uniform.
Yes, ma'am.
I heard the terrible news over the radio.
And you can help us with our inquiries?
Yes, sir. They had a row last night. I heard Mrs. Moller screaming.
Did you see Mrs. Moller come home late last night at all?
No, not at all. I did see Mr. Moller put something in the incinerator earlier this morning, though.
I told you he was our guy. Now let's get this bum downtown and into a cell.
Look, there he is now.
Step away from the incinerator. Don't let him get away.
Okay, but no shooting. We need this guy to make the case.
This doesn't look good, Hugo.
I can explain the blood.
Get him booked in at Central, officer. Then put him in an interview room. We'll be speaking with him later. And inform the captain.
Yes, sir, Detective.
Is there someone you can call, miss?
I don't want home and
You need somewhere to stay, Michelle. You have other family? Grandparents? Aunts or uncles?
call Aunt Helen, but she lives in Bakersfield and...
Call her. We're gonna get someone down here from Juvenile Hall to talk to you in the meantime.
We ought to get some uniforms down here, clean up, take care of the kid.
So why would he burn that now, though, if he was burning things last night?
That's that guy from the paper. Solve that big case. Phelps, 1247.
How can I help, Detective?
Oh, I need an address on a Belmont High School.
Checking for you, Detective. Belmont High, 1575 West 2nd Street.
Thanks.
Are you drunk, mister? Or are you just cracked?
Heavens. Alright, looks like we're heading to the high school next. Also, I feel like I should have a police car for this leg. I think I can see one in the distance over here. Ah, good. Here we are.
I need this vehicle, officer, now.
And that's how you take cars that are in the middle of driving.
Galloway, Homicide Division, badge number 564.
Go ahead, Detective Unit.
Can we get Ray Pinker and a technical services team to a house at 130 North Bonnie Bray Street? Send someone down from Juvenile Hall to look after a young lady.
Roger, 11K. Inform Detective Phelps that the coroner has a report waiting at the police morgue downtown when he's available.
Got it, KGPL.
I'm surprised, you know. I didn't make the husband for it.
Always make the husband, Phelps. 9 times out of 10, it's the closest person to the victim who does the deed. God knows I've wanted to kill some wives in my day.
Lex parsimoniae.
What?
The law of parsimony. Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is most likely the correct one.
You know, you could have said that without getting all liturgical.
I'll try to dumb things down from now on.
Appreciate it. And try this one on for size. Rusty's razor.
How's that go?
You blame the guy that's banging her.
Ah, of course. Famous Lex ignoramus.
Closes cases, Cole. Puts a lot of people away, that one.
Any Central Unit, a possible 288 at Belmont High School, 1575 West 2nd Street. Stand by for further unit to handle. Identify code 2.
11K to KGPL. We'll take the 288. Go ahead with the further.
Uh-oh. Guess we better head back to the high school. Or over to the high school. We haven't actually been there. Yeah. Going back to the high school. Man, plans just keep changing today. Alright, but you've seen this road before. So here we go.
Saturday's the spring unveiling, Emmy. It's the first season since fabric rationing's over. We have to go. I
told you I can't Saturday. I'm busy.
Busy where? You're going on another drive with Davy Gardner, aren't you?
Well, that's not suspicious.
What if I am?
Go, Phelps. I'll take the car and see if I can cut him off.
So yeah, a regular creeper now. It's good that it's nice and obvious this time, you know? No conflicting loyalties, no police agents. Just one creepy asshole hanging out at a high school. Oh, finally.
Car 11K, Car 11 King, come in.
11K, go ahead.
11K, see the janitor. A green 1946 coupe registered to a Mrs. Hugo Moller has been found in the parking lot adjoining the Belmont High School and playing fields. 11K, code 2.
What's your name?
Who's asking?
We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Name's Eli Rooney.
You've been in trouble with the law before, Eli?
Some.
What are you doing around here?
I like to keep an eye on the children.
Strictly paternal, is it, Eli?
Don't sass me, boy.
A woman was abducted here last night, Eli, and murdered.
And I would love to make you for that, you Okie motherfucker.
Well, I wouldn't know nothing about that. A woman, you say? I like 'em a little younger than that.
Turn out your pockets, Eli.
Now, why would I do that?
Because I'm about to break your fucking skull, Eli.
Okie, by the way, is a generic term for Oklahoman.
You're under arrest, Eli. You're in very deep trouble. Get some backup down here, Rusty. We need to get this one downtown and into a cell.
I'll tell them we got...
Oh, whoops. Okie, at the time, was actually used as sort of a generic term for Dust Bowl era vagrants, day laborers looking for work.
What time did you see the person park the car?
Late last night, after school social, maybe 1 a.m. I've been keeping a good eye out lately. We've had problems with the child molester.
Eli Rooney. We've met him.
Filthy son of a bitch. He was here yesterday before the dance.
Was it him you saw park the car?
I don't know, sir. I'd like to say yes, but the truth is it was pretty dark.
Would you say Rooney is violent?
Yes, sir. I would say so, yes.
Thanks for your help.
And we would be chasing him after that little talk with the janitor if we had gotten here second. Oh dear.
Blood and skin samples. We better get Ray Pinker out here.
That looks like the right rope.
It's from a Chrysler. Could be important.
The overalls are stenciled HM. Moller is a mechanic. I wonder what Eli does for a living.
This does seem awfully convenient, though. I mean, wouldn't that be the stuff he would burn if it was Moller? Why would he just keep it in the trunk like that? All arranged nice and carefully so you can see all of the clues easily. Things are just not quite adding up. And you can see a whole bunch of the police phones lit up. All in a row.
Cole Phelps, badge 1247.
How can I help, Detective?
I need interrogation set up at Central for both suspects being held in the Moller homicide case.
Certainly, Detective. I'll get in touch with the watch commander.
Thanks, ma'am.
Now, at this point, we don't really have to go to the morgue. But we gotta be thorough. So we're gonna do it. And I'm gonna drive.
I say we make Rooney for this. I think we should lay it on him. He was near the car, he had her jewelry, the DA will love him for it.
Even if he didn't do it?
Who cares whether he did it? You have kids, Phelps? He needs to be taken permanently out of harm's way.
And we let Moller slide?
For a while. He gets a free pass from me.
I don't know about this. My gut says Moller. We caught him trying to destroy evidence in his backyard. And that was his car with the bloody tools in it.
I never said it wasn't me. Hell, he probably killed his wife, deprived that poor kid of a mother. But he's not in immediate danger to anyone else. Rooney's a threat to every kid.
He's a peeper rusher. We can pick him up for something else.
Really want to run that risk? You don't need to turn him.
And as we'll hear later, he does more than just peep, by the way.
Straight through the next intersection. Stay on this road.
Also, Moller may be a better suspect, but there are still some things about this case that are not adding up.
It's left at the next intersection. Keep on straight.
Yeah, whoops. Wrong tunnel. Well, anyway. Whoops. Well, luckily it didn't count because it happened after the cutscene started.
Phelps, Rusty, thanks for coming.
Can you blood type the shoes that we bagged and see if they're a match?
Sure. It'll all be in the report, but I'm assuming you want the details now?
Please. Cause of death is strangulation?
Correct. Take a look at the samples on the bench.
You know, there is one other thing that doesn't add up. It's probably this last one here.
What are the normal uses for that kind of rope?
On boats, mooring lines.
Correct. Although Ray says that they're sometimes used as bell ropes in churches.
If Moller did kill his wife, then why did he take the jewelry? If it's to copycat the previous death, then why didn't he write on the body? And more importantly, where are the two pieces of missing jewelry?
So are we looking for a sailor or a minister?
Well, in my experience, sailors seem to have the greater libido.
Was Mrs. Moller criminally attacked?
No external or internal traces of semen.
Thanks, Mal. Anything else comes up, you let us know.
Music hasn't stopped. There's gotta be something else around here I need to look at. Clicking wildly, by the way. Oh, wait.
So what next?
Back to Central,
got to
Phelps.
nail this guy.
One of these assholes will break under interrogation. I guarantee it.
Damn it, music is still going. Is it on one of these other tables? What the hell? Oh, whoa, crap. There we go.
The shoe prints?
Size 8s. Very similar to the impressions from the Henry case.
Now, who do we remember got caught in bloody size 8s? I think we have our bird. Okay, if you're finished jawing, we need to get moving.
Yeah, but those prints had the 8 raised. I think the shoes that we found, they were printed on. Not carved out of the shoe sole.
Great.
You drive.
How are we going to look getting around in this thing, Cole? Not exactly the happiest of places, the coroner's office.
Carruthers is a good man, professional, diligent. If you're working with a pro, it's easy to overlook the grim realities of a place like that.
Funny job, that, coroner's.
How so?
No, you don't want them enjoying their work too much. The wrong kind of man can get awfully lonely rattling around a joint full of corpses.
Rusty, that's like something out of the pulps.
Been reading the same ones as me?
I thought you were usually too drunk to get through a magazine.
You know, if I close one eye and squint, you can just about make out the
I like Rusty. I don't like the way he operates as a police officer, but I do like his personality.
You better not go soft on me in here, Phelps.
We'll work the evidence, Rusty. Let him do the rest. Are they ready?
Moller's in 2 and the pervert's in 1. Get in there and get a conviction.
Alright, well, we're going to be convicting the pervert. So let's talk to Moller first. Like I said, he is the likelier suspect, but there are still loose ends that don't explain everything, so we might as well put away the threat to the public.
Here's where we stand, Hugo. Your next-door neighbor heard screaming coming from your house. You were burning your blood-stained shoes. You have no one who can confirm your whereabouts last night. Your daughter says you're a violent man. We have everything we need to send you to death row, and all you have to say for yourself is, I didn't do it.
I swear I didn't kill her. Give me that lie test. I can prove it.
Why did you burn your shoes, Hugo?
Because I knew you'd never believe me.
Believe what?
It's rabbit's blood. A guy at work brought him in and I helped him skin them.
You know we can test for that, right? I suppose he wouldn't know that.
Do you know anything about ropes, Hugo?
As much as the next man. I was a scout. I learned some more in the army.
You learned to strangle with the rope in the army?
With rope, with my bare hands, but mainly with wire. I learned a lot of things in the army, but I still didn't kill my wife.
For argument's sake, what type of rope would you use?
If I had to, I would use a triple braid. Less flex, easier to control.
Your wife was beaten with a tire iron, Hugo. An appropriate choice of tool for a mechanic.
I know nothing about any tire iron.
You're lying, Hugo. You're gonna have to come clean on this.
You got no proof.
Your wife drove a Chevrolet, Hugo. What make of car do you drive?
A Chrysler Airflow.
So I guess that explains why the tire iron that killed your wife came from a Chrysler. We found your wife's car. Someone parked it at the school late last night. Do you have anything to say about that?
It wasn't me.
Where do you keep your work clothes?
I keep them at work in my locker.
Enough lies, Hugo. Your overalls put you at the scene of the crime last night.
My overalls are in the laundry of my house.
Well, maybe.
Green overalls, bloodstained, with the initials HM found in the trunk of your wife's car.
They can't be mine.
Why, Hugo? Because if they were yours, they'd be in the incinerator too?
And that's another thing that bugs me about this case. We've got so many other loose ends that we could check. Is that rabbit's blood? Where are his overalls? Where is his Chrysler's tire iron?
Captain, we were on our way to interview Eli Rooney.
Yes, Phelps, I know. This particular fiend is an old acquaintance. I have tried to reaffirm his belief in a wrathful and terrible God. Whichever way it goes, I'll be dealing personally with him.
I think we know which one the skipper wants to arrest.
Yeah, I'm thinking of moving up to a 45. I want to put him down a one round.
You look like you've had it rough.
You see me asking for your sympathy, boy?
I don't think we've been in this interrogation room before.
You're down on your luck, Eli.
I had worse. My family ate roadkill during the Dust Bowl.
But you have a job. A parolee has to have a job, correct?
I had me a job down in San Pedro. I'm looking for something new.
This place you worked have a name?
Hennessy Marine. You can't miss the place. Big yellow letters, HM out front.
They give you any workwear, Eli?
Sure. Green coverall. Dang thing was hot. Felt like I was back in the pen wearing it.
You ever tie up any of your victims, Eli?
It's not a nice thing to go calling them.
What would you call them?
I can't say. I learned a long time ago not to go talking about the things I like. Talking about it just seems to get people's dander up.
Answer the goddamn question, Rooney, before I brain you.
See what I mean? Short answer is yes.
You have any preference regarding rope, Eli?
I know a good rope from a bad rope, if that's what you mean. That's not what you mean, is it? Any old rope will do me fine.
A farm boy like you, Eli, must prefer Magay for roping. Am I right?
I prefer braid. Tie hitching braid. It stays tied.
You killed Mrs. Moller and stole her jewelry.
That ain't so. I ain't done nothing like that.
You have no job and nowhere to live by the smell of things. And you need money. You've been in trouble before, Eli. Who do you think a jury will believe?
I've been in trouble for other things, but I ain't never killed no one. I saw that car coming to the parking lot late last night. Man got changed there and then put his coveralls in the trunk. I saw him drop the butterfly in the lamplight and he strolled out, cool as you like. And I went over and I picked it up.
What size boot do you wear, Eli?
Kind of like anything I can get my hands on. I'm wearing 11s.
Deirdre Moller was strangled, and then someone did a dance on her torso. Someone with a lot of anger. Someone with a lot of hate in them. Someone wearing size 8s, Eli.
You got some reason other than you don't like me while you're trying to hang this thing on me?
Honestly, no, that's about it.
Sorry. My mistake. You're maybe 5'5", 5'6" tops, and you wear size 11s? I don't think so, Eli.
That might be on the large side. Maybe 10s.
Maybe 8s.
Now that I come to think of it.
Why punish children with your iniquity, Eli?
Do you think I was never punished?
You must know what you're doing is evil.
Well, son, nobody's perfect.
Eli Rooney, I'm charging you with the first-degree murder of Deirdre Moller.
You want to put me back in the stir that badly, boy? You go ahead and try. I'll beat that rap. I ain't a killer.
Phelps, Galloway. Congratulations are at hand. Drink, boys? I think you'll receive a commendation for this one, gentlemen. In the meantime, I'll speak to the DA about expediting the passage of the case. We need swift and merciless justice for poor Deirdre.
I guess I did some damage to a vehicle. But for reference, I would only have gotten 3 stars if I'd charged Moller. And the captain would have chewed us out.
Phelps! We captured 2 regular armies.
Lieutenant!
Phelps, we've been over this. That sniper barely missed you back on the beach. Until the mission is over, there'll be no more saluting or signs of rank.
I'm in charge here, Medier!
Do you wish to interrogate the prisoners?
No, they're beat. Why they look so sullen?
You're wondering why we haven't killed them yet. There's no greater shame than being taken prisoner.
Yet this golden boy actually seems to know what he's doing.
See that, boys? He slapped that Jap right upside the head.
It was merely to remind him of his place. His shame was the tone of voice that he used with a superior. I respect the Japanese, Corporal.
Respect, we're here to kill the sons of bitches.
Do you know why we are fighting the Japanese, Private?
With respect, sir, these bastards attacked Pearl Harbor.
And why did they attack Pearl, Private?
Because they hate the US of A and our way of life.
They attacked the US because we cut off their oil. What would we do if another country denied us the gas to run our cars?
Time and place, Cole. The homicide desk involves a lot of domestic issues, so I figured that for today's film, we'd look at A Streetcar Named Desire, a classic story that takes a good, hard look at exactly that. The story about the story. The art of cinema has a few different parents, thanks to the way that motion pictures evolved out of static pictures. The first few movies were as much about showing off this strange new technology as they were about telling a story. And the fact that they didn't have synchronized audio or dialogue for the first 3 decades or so put some fairly hard limits on the kinds of stories the film could depict. Still, even before talkies came out, it was obvious that plays and stage acts were the closest media to films, and so began the long relationship between Hollywood and Broadway. Actors who made a big splash on Broadway were regularly recruited by the Hollywood studios, and Hollywood actors whose contracts expired would head to New York and exchange the national exposure of film for the looser standards of stage productions. However, there are some real differences between the acting skills needed by movies and by plays. You can't act naturally in a play. Your gestures have to be broad, your expressions need to be exaggerated, and even when you're whispering, you have to project so that everyone in the house can hear you. After all, you aren't communicating with a person standing next to you. You're communicating with an audience member who may be sitting 100 yards away. On top of that, a play is a live performance, so you have to get it right the first time, every time. Mistakes still happen, of course, and so you need to know how to improvise and roll with the punches. But on the other hand, you can't do anything too spontaneous, since you might throw the other actors off, and because performing in a play means doing the same thing between 3 to 8 times per week. Film acting rules are very different. With the cameras right there next to you, film actors can afford to be subtle in ways that a play actor simply can't. Even the makeup is less thick. Also, since the performance is recorded, actors can memorize lines, rehearse, and perform their scenes individually rather than all at once and in chronological order. They can experiment with different things and different takes and surprise the other actors in order to get candid reactions. Sets are handled differently too. Depending on the play, a set may be a single static apartment or other environment with a lot of details, or it may be a few movable set props, which suggest different environments. Even the set painting method usually involves broad strokes of splashing layers of paint on top of each other in order to create the illusion of texture at a distance. But if you use these techniques on a film set, it'll come out looking like someone covered the walls in grimy shit, especially in a black and white production. Because of all these differences and more, translating a play into a film isn't an exact process, although it is a lot easier than translating a book or a short story. A Streetcar Named Desire went through a few different changes in order to get onto the silver screen. In the first place, Streetcar the play has a single setting, the Kowalski home. And while that's fine for a stage play with limited real estate, the film adaptation has the chance to add and move scenes to take advantage of the fact that films can create more than one complete set. Many scenes had to be cut or shortened to turn a 3-hour play into a 2-hour movie, and a couple plot points had to be changed because of the Hays Code. But aside from all that, the 1951 film version of Streetcar is remarkably accurate to the play version. In fact, the movie borrows Marlon Brando, Carl Malden, and Kim Hunter from the original Broadway production and Vivien Leigh from the original London production. So let's see how these stage actors adapted to a new medium in the story. We begin with Blanche Dubois coming to New Orleans by train and getting directions to her sister's place, directions that include a streetcar literally named Desire. Apparently, New Orleans had an unusual naming convention for its public transportation back in the day. I should also point out that this short scene isn't the only reason for the film's name, and we'll be getting back to it later. When Blanche gets to her sister's place, she meets her sister's upstairs neighbor, Eunice, and finds out that her sister and her husband, Stella and Stanley Kowalski, are out bowling. Blanche goes to the bowling alley, and as soon as the sisters hug, the first words out of Blanche's mouth are complaints about the apartment. Stella offers to introduce her to Stanley, but Blanche complains about the glaring light and begs off. The sisters sit down in the alley's restaurant for a drink, and Blanche explains that she's taking a leave of absence from her teaching job for the sake of her nerves. She then guilt-trips Stella about leaving their family estate, Belle Reve, but Stella doesn't bite. Next, they return to the apartment, and while Blanche still doesn't like the place, she insists that it would be better for her to stay here than at a hotel. They then talk about how much Stella loves Stanley, and after that, Blanche gets incredibly passive-aggressive about how she lost Belle Reve after Stella abandoned her, and then the rest of their family died. Distressed by the news, Stella runs into the bathroom, leaving Blanche alone when Stanley shows up. They introduce themselves, and for reference, even when Marlon Brando was young and fit, he still sounded like he was talking around a mouthful of gravel. He was basically Sylvester Stallone before Sylvester Stallone. They make small talk for a while, and Stanley gives off the distinct impression that he is not impressed with Blanche's Southern Belle persona. He mentions that Stella told him Blanche was married once, and bringing this fact up seems to affect her deeply. She explains that her husband died young, but says nothing more. The next day, Stanley brings in Blanche's truck, and he hears about Belle Reve. He wants more information and paperwork, because apparently, under Louisiana law, a husband and a wife share their assets, and he's skeptical about Blanche's claim that she lost Belle Reve, especially when he sees all the fine gowns and jewelry in her trunk. Gowns and jewelry which, it turns out, aren't actually worth that much. In the process, Stanley manhandles all of Blanche's stuff, which deeply offends Stella. She leaves in a huff, and when Blanche comes out, she tries flattering Stanley again, and it doesn't go well. After Stanley insists some more, Blanche finally pulls out the papers that show the property was foreclosed. Apparently, the sisters' grandparents sold off their land to pay for their debaucheries, and then the rest was lost paying for all the funerals. In the process, Stanley manhandles some love letters, which deeply offends Blanche. As Stanley discusses having a lawyer friend of his take a look at the papers, he casually lets drop that Stella is pregnant. Blanche seems to have somewhat mixed feelings about this news. She also keeps calling Stanley a Polak, by the way, which is not a flattering term to describe someone of Polish descent. Later that evening, Stanley's card game is running long, and Eunice upstairs isn't happy about the noise. The sisters come back after a night on the town, and although Stella tries to tell Stanley to pack it in for the night, he stubbornly continues the game. At the same time, Blanche meets Harold Mitchell, a man who is noticeably more soft-spoken and sensitive than the rest of Stanley's friends. He also has a sick mother, and he's unmarried. Blanche turns on the radio, which really pisses off a drunken Stanley, but it also serves to draw Mitch into the back room, which was her goal. The two flirt for a while. Mitch puts a Chinese lantern over the bare light bulb, and when Blanche turns on the radio again, Stanley grabs it, yanks it out of the wall, and throws it through a closed window. This gets Stella angry, and she starts throwing Stanley's friends out the door, so Stanley grabs her and starts punching. For their part, Stanley's friends pull him off and knock him out, and once they revive him in the shower, they evade his wild punches and run out. When Stanley is finally alone and has a moment to think, he realizes what he's done and he starts screaming, "Hey, Stella!" Eunice, the upstairs neighbor, has taken Stella and Blanche in and refuses to let Stanley see them, but Stella goes down anyway. Stanley does look genuinely sorry for what he's done, but yeah, their relationship is pretty messed up. The next morning, Blanche comes down from the upstairs apartment and finds Stella in the afterglow of what was probably some crazy makeup sex. Blanche has no idea why her sister considers Stanley's behavior acceptable, but all Stella can say is that this is how Stanley always is, and she kind of enjoys it. Blanche compares Stanley to the streetcar named Desire, loud, crude, and entirely beneath the dignity of a Dubois. She actually seems more concerned about his low-class behavior than by the fact that he hit her sister. Some time passes, and as Stella and Stanley prepare to go out for the evening, Stanley asks Blanche about a hotel named the Flamingo in Oriole, which is where she lived until recently. Apparently, it's the sort of establishment where men go to find women of an easy persuasion. Blanche denies having ever gone in, but she's clearly nervous. She then talks with her sister about her reputation, her age, and the fact that she's dating Mitch now with the intention of marrying him. After Stella leaves, a young man shows up collecting for the Evening Star, a newspaper. Blanche flirts with him and asks for a kiss, apparently because he reminds her of her former husband. That same evening, she goes out with Mitch and they get to talking about her past. The boy she married was sort of the weak and sensitive type, and one day, when she yelled at him for being weak, he went out and shot himself. This is one of the bigger changes from the play, because in the play, Blanche caught the boy having a homosexual affair, which is, sad to say, a better reason to commit suicide in 1940s and 50s America. But, of course, according to the Hays Code, homosexuality doesn't exist. And so instead, he killed himself because he's a wit. For his part, Mitch doesn't seem to mind that she's still clearly hung up on her first love. He wants to settle down before his sick mother dies. She wants a husband who will get her out of her sister's hair. And so, it's not exactly true love, but they do care about each other. Following another time skip, Blanche has now been at the Kowalskis for 5 months, and Stanley has been using the time to check up on Blanche's history. Apparently, she had a lot of sexual relations back in Oriole when she lived in the Flamingo Hotel, and the real reason she left her teaching job is because she had sex with a 17-year-old student. Stella doesn't want to believe Stanley, and she gets especially upset when he says he also told Mitch about what he discovered. Although it's Blanche's birthday, Mitch doesn't show up for dinner, and when Stella complains about Stanley's manners, he smashes his plate and says he's sick of how she and her sister have been insulting him ever since Blanche showed up. He storms out, and when Stella goes out to get him, he says that everything will be better when the baby is born, when Blanche is gone. And for a birthday present, he gives Blanche a bus ticket back to Oriole, which basically means he's calling her bluff. Stella and Stanley start arguing again, but they're interrupted when her contractions begin. While they're at the hospital, Mitch shows up and demands to know the truth, switching on all the lights in the apartment in a very literal and symbolic move. He explains that he didn't trust what Stanley said, but he then checked for himself and found out Stanley was right. So, Blanche finally drops her breathy Southern belle accent and tells the truth. After her husband died, she went from one man to another, looking for comfort but never finding it. Mitch tells her that he doesn't mind that she's older than what she let on, but she lied to him, and she's kind of crazy, so he has no reason to marry her. I can't really say I blame him. He has no obligations to her. When Stanley gets back, he's in a good mood. Stella is still giving birth, but it'll be a while yet, and so he's going to get some sleep. Meanwhile, Blanche has fallen completely into her delusions. According to her, she'll soon be going thanks to a wealthy admirer who will take her along on his big Caribbean yacht. Also, according to her version of events, Mitch came crawling back to her, and she rejected him. Since Stanley's in such a good mood, he plays along at first, but when Blanche keeps going, he starts to press her on the details, and he gradually becomes more and more aggressive. Towards the end, Blanche realizes that she's in danger, but she's stopped at the door by what is probably a hallucination of an old woman selling flowers for the dead. When she tries to get out again, Stanley stops her and then rapes her. After another shorter time skip, we find out that Blanche has gone through a complete mental breakdown, and so the Kowalskis are having her committed. When the doctor comes to take her away, she says her famous line, "I have always depended upon the kindness of strangers." Meanwhile, Stella can't forgive Stanley for what he's done, and so she's gone upstairs to Eunice's again, and this time she'll never go back down. This is the other big change from the play, because in the play, Stella stays with Stanley because that's what happens in abusive relationships. The analysis. A Streetcar Named Desire is not the kind of movie you can really enjoy. It's not meant to entertain, and in fact, it can be very difficult to sit through. Nevertheless, Streetcar also happens to be the kind of movie that can really benefit those who manage to make it all the way to the end. Streetcar comes from a long series of plays which take a hard, critical look at the issues that hide beneath the veneer of domestic life. The first such play, at least according to my education, was A Doll's House, another single-set play written by the Norwegian Henrik Ibsen in 1879. The play is about Nora Helmer, the wife of Torvald, who secretly and illegally borrowed money some years past in order to pay for a trip to Italy, which was for the sake of Torvald's health. A lot of things happen, it's a long play, and in the process, Nora realizes that Torvald loves himself more than he loves her, and when he forgives her at the end, it's the same sort of forgiveness one gives to a child who doesn't know any better, and not to a fully grown woman who knows exactly what she did and why she did it. Furthermore, she realizes that neither she nor Torvald ever truly understood one another, and so she leaves her husband and her kids to go find out who she really is. As Ibsen himself would later say, A Doll's House isn't a feminist play. It's a humanist play, because men as well as women can become so caught up in the roles society assigns to us that we forget who we are without our masks. We all need to be selfish when it comes to self-identity. Streetcar was written by Tennessee Williams, who also wrote similar plays like Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and The Glass Menagerie. Williams had an advantage that comes from working in theater instead of film since, at least at that point in time, theater was getting much less attention from crusading censors. Williams could get away with more honesty in a play, such as that bit about homosexuality, because while there were still protests about supposedly obscene material, there was no production office which could stop a playhouse from putting on a specific show. Now, there were obscenity laws and state censorship boards which could and would shut down theater productions after the fact, but even as early as the 1930s, back when the Hays Office was still codifying its censorship rules, the censors were starting to back down from Broadway. It's kind of interesting how it seems to come and go in waves like that. And it's enough to make you wonder what the hell censorship is for when you can just switch mediums to find what you're looking for. Thanks for joining me again for today's film review, and I hope you'll join me next time for a movie in which Henry Fonda must save a boy's life in just 1.5 real-time hours, and all without leaving a single room.